Hi everyone, welcome into Wellverse Creations. Today I'm going to share this journal with you that I have named Cadence of the Rose. And it's just got these beautiful beads here. And I just have used this gorgeous lace to tie it. And did this little labeling here. So I've got a lot of vintage pieces in here. I've had fun antiquing. And I found this book in an antique store. And so I took a video of myself taking the pages out, which can also be used for ephemera. So I had some fun with that as well. And then I found this old piece of writing. It looks like a letter maybe. And this is from 1916. It's kind of fragile, but I've gone ahead and put that on the front. I love this cover because it had real leather. This is some vintage lace that I used. And then I loved all of this beautiful gold foil on the spine here. And then I've just changed the... Then on the back here, I put a hem, and this is like an actual old, very old hem. And I picked that up at the antique store as well. And then I had fun doing decoupage with these fussy cut roses. And these roses are from a book I picked up on Amazon, and it has pictures of vintage rose paintings in it. I just love this lace. Now this lace is not vintage. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby, and I just think it's so gorgeous. So here we go. It's got lots of beautiful laces, and I think it just turned out so pretty. And then there's the hems on the back. Okay, here we go. Diving in. On this first page here, I found these fancy yarns from Oldacina Scrap. That is her YouTube channel. And then she's got an Etsy shop, and she has a web page that you can also shop from. And she calls these fancy yarns, and so I made a little bow there out of her yarn, and I got that and some other things from her shop, and she's in Canada, and I got them just fine. This is just a beautiful poem that I wrote, and I put it on vellum and layered it here. And then this vintage piece is the Etiquette of Introductions, and that was also in some of my finds at a local antique store. And then this is just a little bit of hand-dyed sari silk at the top. This is a vintage piece as well from an intermediate school. It's just a beautiful card. This was already on it when I bought it at the antique store, and I just made a cute pocket out of it. This kit I'll link below, and it is just gorgeous. It's like Victorian vintage look, and I had fun doing some embossing here, and I've just done a little belly band on the back. Here's another beautiful Victorian home on the back of this, little journaling paper. So this is a separate kit from this paper, and I'll link both of those below as well. And this paper is also in with this, so there's some plain ones and some printed ones. And I'll read you this poem as well. The Cadence of the Rose. I see them in the morning light, their petals cradling the dew. It's there among the roses where I pray and start my day anew. Their perfume fills my senses, and their graceful splendor is my sight. I lift up my praise, for it is in God's creation I delight. While I sit and read the truth in his words, my spirit is made free. Walking among the roses, I know Jesus dwells and goes with me. He is the tune that's playing within me, the one my spirit knows. For Jesus is the song of my life. He's the cadence of the rose. This is also a beautiful piece of vintage trim that I picked up, and more sari silk that I dyed. And then I found these really cute little rose beads, and I love all these beautiful roses that are in this kit. And then I've just embossed this with a music stamp. This one, I had so much fun. I found this glitter spray at Michael's, And I just love it. It just adds a really beautiful touch for a journal like this. And I just kind of perch that right in there. And then this opens up. There was room here at the front of the journal after I sewed these signatures in. And so I had room for some pockets and just had so much fun doing these. Sari silk here holds this cute little mini tablet together. And it's just got a lot of vintage pieces in there. That's some vintage handwriting. It's like practice cursive writing back in the day. And more of the roses that are from, I believe, the 16 and 1700s. Redoubt was the painter, I believe, on that particular one. And I got this book on Amazon, like I was saying, and it's just perfect for this. So I just had fun making copies of those pictures. I also ordered some lace on Etsy, and these are vintage pieces. It looks like it came from a wedding dress. And then I hand dyed them. Some of them I have left kind of an ivory color. This lace is not vintage. I picked this up. I believe this was at Hobby Lobby, but it just had to be in this book. I just love it. More embossing that I had fun doing on a piece of vintage book page. And then this is those papers that I'll link below. This is a digital kit that I got on Etsy. A vintage ad, more roses. Oh, I just love those cabbage roses, so gorgeous. I always like to include music paper as well. And I staggered these pages for size, and then some of them are lower and higher and such. So then I had fun with the same spray, and I just put it on this really beautiful pink paper that I printed, and I just put it down in a box to spray it because it's kind of messy. But it's just gorgeous. It's kind of iridescent. Just adds a really fun touch, I think. And I didn't do it on every page, just occasionally. Here is another giant tag that's in that kit that I'll link below. Vintage tag here in a glass vintage button, and I've just put it on this cute little bulb-shaped safety pin. And more of the same, it's kind of similar to the lace that was tied on the front, but this actually has a little stretch to it, so I often use that for pockets. And then a vintage ad, and then this beautiful tag. I also used some shimmer spray, made a little pocket on the back for a journaling spot. This is some embossing with an old stamp. I've had it for years, and it's just a cute little dress, little rose stamp there. Here is some of that same applique lace that I left, kind of the off-white or ivory color. Here's some more laces that I just thought looked nice together. Vintage ad, beautiful hat with a rose on it. I had fun with that. Here is in between, and I forgot to show you on this. This is the first signature. This is in the middle. And I just had fun with these beautiful beads. These are not vintage, but I thought they kind of went with all the beautiful Victorian look. And I found those darling little roses. Aren't they cute? Okay, and then we were back here. We're almost to the middle of this one. This is a cute little lunch sack that I picked up over by the cards and party stuff in, what store was I in? I think this was Hobby Lobby. This is also a piece of applique that I got from the Etsy shop, and it's all vintage. Cute little key there. Stamped a little rose there, a little street lamp, and then I did some embossing with a really pretty rose gold embossing powder. More Sari silk. So those little bags are so fun to embellish and use. And of course, glassine bags are fun, but the little lunch sacks, they come in different colors. They're just kind of cute. Then here I did the dress again and just kind of cut it out. And I have these cute little fussy cuts tucked in behind it. And these I'll just kind of use as I go along and doing my journaling. And then this is like the folded up end of the sack. And I made another pocket there, and it's got another piece of journaling paper, and it's got the practice writing for cursive handwriting. Back in the day, I don't know if they still teach that to kids in school, but I sure learned it. This lace just needed to be in here, even though it's not vintage. I just think it's gorgeous. I think I got that at Michael's. More shimmer spray. It's kind of a pearly, gorgeous spray. I love it. Lots of journaling spaces on all these pages. Old car. Then I hand dyed this piece of applique lace. And then I've tucked in here the little bird in the beautiful hat with the roses. I just love birds. I was a bird watcher when I was a kid, and I still am. My parents passed that little hobby down to me, and it's just so fun. Beautiful Victorian home here in the background. Here's another sweet little bird, little feather. And I had fun doing some embossing of roses there. Belly band with a journaling piece of paper there. And then this was also vintage, and I picked this up, I think, at the antique store. Here's some more beautiful beads that I put in the middle of this one. And I didn't choose to make it all matching because I liked the variety. I think it was more, added more interest, less predictable that way. Roses in this woman walking away in that gorgeous dress. It looks very uncomfortable, but gorgeous. Look at this beautiful mansion. Can you imagine keeping all that up? All the little different trims and stuff. They don't make them like that anymore. Beautiful embossing of a rose there. There's some vintage ads there. And here's a vintage ad. Another beautiful vintage car. This is super fun. This is just some trim that I found at Hobby Lobby, and it's little roses, so I use that a lot, and I just put them on these cute little clips. This is a vintage book page. As a matter of fact, it was some of the pages that were in this particular book, and I just kind of held them together with this pretty piece of trim. And then I had fun crocheting a rose for the center here. And I made little pockets on either side with these cute little tags. And then I just backed that with some vellum as I glued it down. So I just love adding a little touch of crochet in my journal. So I just think it adds a sweet little touch. So I try and do that in most of them now that I'm into crocheting. Gives me a good excuse to crochet, and that's why I started, because I saw the little doilies and stuff that I could use, and I thought, I bet I could make those. So, beautiful piece of lace there. I think this is so pretty with the roses there. Shimmer spray, music page. There's another gorgeous dress. I can't imagine getting in and out of those. Must have been pretty difficult. Here's a piece of vintage lace, and I thought it was so dainty and adorable. And I wanted it to really pop, so I backed it with that beautiful pink lace. Here's another vintage recipe. Another gorgeous Victorian home. Here's another beautiful card that's in the kit, and I've done some embossing and used one of those cute little beads, little rose beads inside of the little rose beads in the middle of this signature. Vintage book page, 1916. This one is from, looks like French maybe. More homemade paste stenciling. Beautiful old vintage button. It's made of glass. And then I've done some embossing here. Added a sweet little feather. Little piece of lace, belly band on the back. I like doing that because it gives me a place to journal, and it's flat. So I can fit more in the book. Another old gorgeous car. Oh, that's so pretty how that's done in that beautiful sepia with the hint of pink. Just gorgeous. Look at the hat. Beautiful old ways that they dress. Doesn't look comfy. I prefer my sweats. Sorry, but wouldn't be having that. Beautiful little feather and vintage button. I believe that's called a junco. Isn't that just so cute and so chubby? And then I've got this piece of lace that's just like this. It's an appliqué dyed. And here is another little hidden pocket. And it has more of this practice writing. You know, my mother's handwriting looks very similar to that. It's just gorgeous. Very like the actual, like mine is kind of a blend of, I don't know what, but my mom's is so perfect. She never forgot her cursive. Vintage trim here, a little bit of hand-dyed sari silk. And then look at this vintage trim. Isn't that just so tiny and cute? More of that. I did this vellum because this card is just gorgeous with this baby grand piano. And here's an old glass button as well. Little piece. Now see, this is why I hang on to the tiniest little pieces, because isn't that just cute on there? And just a bulb pin. So keep your scraps. And then I've just done that with a little piece of sari silk. Another belly band. And that is the end. More of the beautiful cursive writing and the roses that I decoupaged. This beautiful hymn. Hark my soul, it is the Lord, 'tis thy Savior. Hear his word. Jesus speaks, he speaks to thee. Say, poor sinner, lovest thou me? I delivered thee when bound, and bleeding healed thy wound. Sought thee wandering, set thee right, turn thy darkness into light. Boy, that is so true of Jesus. Lord, whom winds and seas obey, guide us through the watery way. In the hollow of thy hand hide and bring us safe to land. Jesus, let our faithful mind rest on thee alone. Reclined, every anxious thought reprise. Keep our souls in perfect peace. Wow, they don't write like that anymore. Look at that vintage lace. All right, this has just been such a fun journey to take with you, and I hope you enjoyed the beautiful Cadence of the Rose journal. Thanks for watching.